All righty, everybody. Welcome to Talking Real Estate here at Champions Real Estate Team at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark T. Wehner, the second team leader at Champions Real Estate Company, or Champions Real Estate Team. And joining me today is Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage. So every Wednesday, we try to jump on over the lunch hour and kind of give you a rundown of what's gone on over the market, the real estate market, and kind of the mortgage industry over the last week. So getting straight into the numbers, as we kind of touched on in previous weeks. Thought that after the Labor Day, things would start picking up. So this is kind of the good synopsis of what's going on. So we've had the lowest number of new contracts written. So houses going pending since, at least my notebook here, since basically back before April. So we had 281 new contracts written, which is Labor Day. Everyone, the final weekend of summer, as people call it. So not a lot of people out there writing contracts. So what does that mean for buyers? Great time to get out there and get in the competition. Or get back in the competition if you've kind of taken a little hiatus with how the market's been. We've had 475 new listings go active. That's on par. It's more than last week, and actually it's more than any week since August. Looking back at my notes here. So as we kind of touched on in previous weeks, kind of what we thought is once, everyone kind of got set on their routine schedules, schools, all that kind of fun stuff. And then after the holidays, okay, let's get the house on the market so we can close it before the holiday season. And on the flip side, buyers wanting to get into a house before the holiday season. So it's kind of the last push, kind of, a good push before the snow starts flying, in November, December, getting those houses ready, and then even thinking about into that spring market. So, houses sold kind of 485. So that's about par for the course. That's usually indicative of activity about 45 to 60 days ago. With houses being closed on that side of it. So we'll take a 30,000 foot view here and look at the big picture of it. So we have just under 1,800 homes active in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS with the no-show statuses. I pulled those out. So we're about 1,800 homes. So that's up, a decent amount from, that April timeframe, and we're about 1,300, 1,200 homes. So what we're seeing is more homes on the market. And now more buyers are starting to come back on the market after the holidays, and interest rates are still low. So we kind of take a look at the numbers of Douglas and Sarpy County, kind of the Omaha metro area, about 1,000 homes, 615, 17 or so existing homes, and just over 400 new construction homes. So that number's been ticking up. So basically, obviously builders are, maybe some of them are getting some spec homes in the ground and getting them hopefully, enclosed by the time snow flies, and they'll be ready in the spring. So you see that number tick up a little bit here. Months of inventory went up since last week. We were at 0.9 last week. We're at 1.1, which basically means we'll have about 1 month supply of inventory if no houses came on the market. Average sold price just under 300,000, right around there. So it's about up 11-12% from the previous year. So I know last week Russ and I kind of touched on a little bit of kind of the affordability from basically the housing boom back in 2006, 2007. And obviously then it kind of crashed, from the mortgage crisis in that instance. But we'll kind of touch on, why now is even a better time to buy than back then. We'll kind of touch on that here in just a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing in the marketplace. We're seeing more active homes come on the market. We saw less contracts written, which I think that's going to, we'll see next week and the weeks moving forward. I just had a mastermind meeting at Berkshire with about another 15 other high producing agents just talking about the market. We're seeing more buyers come back into the market. Obviously, sellers are wanting to get their house sold, is still, the market is still very strong, but I think we're more of a balanced market. We also touched on new construction pricing, and the consensus in our mastermind group with the other agents that work with builders is the prices are slowing, but they're not necessarily going to go down. Everyone's like, oh, well, lumber's come down, so prices are now going to reduce a lot. Well, that's not necessarily the case because you still have electrical prices, you have labor prices, land, all those other costs that are incurred in building a new house are still going up in that regard. So, it's still the best time to buy new construction, was yesterday, and that's basically the same adage that when I got in the business in 2007, being a fourth generation, that's always been, with my dad being in it for 40 years, that's always the case with new construction. Best time to buy was yesterday. So that's something, if you are thinking about new construction, now is the time, to start getting the pieces of the puzzle in place. And one of those pieces is the mortgage side of it. So we'll jump right into with Russ here and touch on the mortgage side of it. Russ, how we doing today? How's the market going and all that good stuff? You're on mute.
There we go. Interest rates are continuing to remain in a very competitive range, and will do so until we see jobs come back last Friday or the first Friday of every month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will release what they call a non-farm payroll. We were expecting 720,000 new jobs roughly created in the month of August. That number was actually under 300,000. And so that told the Fed that, hey, we are not out of the woods yet as far as COVID goes with return to employment. So it's probably likely that the Fed will continue pumping some money into mortgage bonds for a while longer. And as a result, let me see if I can share my screen here. As a result, hopefully, Mark, this isn't too small, but interest rates have stayed very stable. In fact, if you take a look right here, we've seen rates over the last 3 weeks stay right at that same level. Your 30-year fixed rate mortgages are somewhere in the upper twos. Again, this is usually 20% down payment on conventional financing. But to your point, Mark, is this a good time to buy a house? Some folks in the media, not folks that work in housing, mind you, but folks in the media are saying that housing is a little bit overheated. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Let me explain why. If we take a look at interest rates, which of course, the majority of buyers of real estate are using financing in some way, shape, or form. Interest rates in 2006 were somewhere around 6%. And those 30-year fixed rate loans today, as we just looked at, are somewhere on the underside of 3%. Now, it's important to know that each 1% difference in interest rate is almost a 10% difference in borrowing power, which means with interest rates being low, your borrowing power is 25 to 30% more than what it would be if interest rates were at 6%. That's because lower rates will improve affordability. Hang with me here because I'm going to tie this all together. If we look at what hourly earnings were back in 2006, and this is Nebraska, the average hourly earnings were $21.55. And today, we're closer to just under $30 per hour. That's a 36% increase in average hourly earnings for folks that are receiving income. Hold on, I'm going to tie this all together. Now, if we look at home price changes, a home that today would be priced somewhere around the median home price at $360,000, back in 2006 would have been selling for probably around $215,000. That's a 68% increase in home values. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, wages are up 36%, housing is up 68%. That's an overheated market, but you're not seeing the whole picture. Let me explain this. Back in 2006, a $215,000 loan at 6% would give you a principal and interest payment of $1,290. Today, that same home that was worth $215 in 2006 is worth $363 today. At a 3% rate is going to give you $1,531 in loan payment. That's an increase of $241. Certainly, I don't like to see my payment rise. But as we mentioned earlier, your household income has increased by 36%. So back in 2006, when you were making $3,700 a month, now you're making $5,000 per month. So your income has gone up by just over $1,300 per month, while your house payment has only gone up by $240. Which means back in 2006, your house payment was 35% of your income. Today, that same house at today's interest rate, your housing payment is only 31% of your pre-tax income. So your affordability has actually not decreased from 2006. It's actually a little bit better, even though home prices have risen dramatically. This is the piece, Mark, that a lot of folks are missing when they look at what the housing market is doing, and they're listening to some folks in the media that are saying housing is overheated. Certainly, there could be some price points that, to your point earlier, might plateau, but affordability is every bit as strong as it was in 2006.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people they look at the sticker price, and it's just like car shopping. Oh my God, this car's $45,000. Back in, 2006, it was $20,000, and so you have that sticker shock, but you don't take into account, like you said, the 30,000 foot view and the big picture of it, yep. And that's why, now, especially knowing prices keep going up. I mean, we just talked before we got on. Can you imagine if you had a couple investment properties that you bought in 2006 and you hung on to them for 20, almost, 20 years, and you get a 68% return on your money potentially, plus the passive income and the cash flow that you've received over that. That's how people build wealth, from that aspect of it.
And as we talk about demand, and we've covered this in previous weeks, we can cover it again if folks want to hear it, but the median first-time home buyer is age 33, which means they were born in 1988. When you look at 1990, 1991, more people were born in those years after 88 than they were in 88, which means we have a lot of people that will need housing in each year following this year. So demand is not likely to go anywhere, whether that be demand to purchase a home or demand to rent a home. So the real estate values are likely not to drop off. They may plateau at some price points and maybe even some areas, but the one thing they're not making more of is land, Mark.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that this is a great video for today. I think it's it covers a lot of information, and it's kind of just the tip of the iceberg. If anyone watching this video has questions, comments, post them on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, my LinkedIn page. Happy to answer any questions, dive into it deeper, and how we can get you, that affordability, and what can that do to get your foot in the door to get into a house or to get in the investment game in that process of it. So, you don't wait to buy real estate, you buy real estate and wait. It's kind of how it works itself out. And yeah, you're going to have ups and downs. And, one of our properties, we have to take down a tree. It's one of those, you have those things that comes into play, and you work with it. But yeah, so, the housing market is still very strong, like we touched on. I think buyer activity is going to be picking up here as we move into the fall. Obviously sellers, still a great time. You're still getting great, prices for your homes. And we talked about, getting your house ready, back in May and June, you could just put a house on the market and that, and it would fly off the shelves. Well, now it's got to be in very, very good condition, updated, or you need to price it accordingly, because your neighbors may tell you, oh, I got $40,000 more in my listing price. And, when I sold my house, well, that's not the case anymore. We're seeing a lot of houses, you need to have the listing price at the, if someone's going to write you a check for your house today, are you comfortable with that? And that's what you have to look at, and how the market has shifted a little bit, but it's still a very, very strong market in the appreciations that we've seen over the last couple of years. And then, like we said, from an affordability standpoint, everyone's like, well, I don't want to buy a house. Now the housing prices are crazy. Well, when you look at the affordability side of it, what we just discussed, it makes a lot of sense. And if that's, if we can help you get in a game plan to get into something in the spring, or, what we can do to help you, that's our goal here, is to coach and educate you and give you that information. Does it make sense to pull the trigger now? Does it make sense to pull the trigger later? What makes sense for you in that process? But yeah, we try to keep them short and sweet. Obviously, we can probably sit here and chat all afternoon about it, but really appreciate everyone listening to the video, watching the video. If you have any questions, like I said, comment on any of the viewing sites that we're on, and we're happy to help you. Reach out to myself, 402-672-7670, or Russ Williams at 402-290-8936, Russ at williamsmortgagellc.com. I know he's happy to help you. He helps a lot of my clients out, just answering basic questions and what fits for you. So don't get pigeonholed, in certain products or things like that, but make sure you know exactly what all are all the products out there. So, but appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know, Russ, if you have anything else to close it out or anything? You're on mute.
I think this was a good one for today, and I'd encourage you to reach out with questions, and we'll try to address them in future weeks for you.
So, all righty. Well, appreciate everyone. Have a great weekend. It's supposed to be nice weather out there.